No, it has to be tighter. Okay, but why? Your clothes are gonna make you look like an hourglass no matter what. That doesn't matter. My potential future husband must know that I am willing to endure torture for his gratification. That doesn't sound like a healthy way to build a relationship. Why? Do 21st century men not expect you to wreck yourself to make them comfortable? Yeah, fair point. The corset lacing torture scene might as well be your free space in a game of period drama bingo and the bane of historical costumers and fashion history lovers everywhere. We love to hate them, we love to talk about how inaccurate and unrealistic they are, but I think we are quite often failing to see the bigger issues with these scenes. Time to look at what's going on under the corsets, which should be easy given the answer is almost never a chemise. Hi, I'm V, dress historian and willing to watch just about any historical drama for background noise while I sew. My favorite thing about fashion history is to look not just at all the pretty clothes and how they were made, but what they can tell us about, well, human beings. The thing about historical dramas is it's not just about people in the past, it's about our present day ideas of what the past was like. While I promise to soon throw my hot take into the were corsets torture fire. I don't know when yet, so subscribe or you might miss it. Today we are going to get meta and look in the mirror at ourselves looking at history. My watching a show while sewing setup actually just got a major upgrade. For those of you who don't know me, I do a lot of my working and sewing from bed because of chronic medical issues. For more about that, click here. Birch Living, the sponsor of this video, makes comfortable and environmentally conscious mattresses and sleep products. They heard about the number of times I've managed to injure myself in my sleep and decided to send me a new mattress. My sleep needs all the help I can get, so I went for the Luxe mattress, which is comprised of 8 different layers of organic cashmere, organic wool, organic cotton, and 100% natural latex. They delivered it straight to my door for free in much less time than I expected, and rolled up into a much smaller box than I expected. Way easier than going to a store and trying to fit something this big into a car. I had a friend help unpack and unroll it, but the process was simple, and if you are either taller or less disabled than I am, you could probably do it by yourself. Birch mattresses use sustainably sourced organic and natural materials and are manufactured in the US, which lowers the overall carbon footprint here because they're not shipping from overseas. I use natural fibers for my costumes whenever I can because they're more breathable and I can compost my scraps. It never occurred to me to think about my mattress's fiber content before, but the benefits translate. Super breathable, so you overheat less in summer weather, and the wool layers are hypoallergenic and resistant to allergens and mildew. Birch ensures that their materials are produced and harvested sustainably and has about the longest list of environmental certifications I've ever seen on a textile product. This mattress is a huge upgrade from my previous one. I've had 2 weeks of amazing sleep despite a bad fibromyalgia flare. It's firm and supportive so I don't sink into a weird position and wake up hurting. And the Luxe mattress has a quilted cotton pillow top so I don't have too much pressure on my muscles and wake up hurting. I absolutely love it, so I'm glad it has a 25-year warranty. But if I wasn't sure, Birch offers a 100-night sleep trial with a full refund if the mattress isn't right for you. I figure any mattress that works for me and my chronic pain will be pretty great for the rest of you. So go to birchliving.com/SnappyDragon or click the link in the description to get $400 off a new mattress and 2 free pillows. Thanks to Birch for sponsoring this video and for keeping me comfy both in my sleep and during the many hours of period drama watching I did while researching this video. Now, on with the corsets. Look, how would you feel if somebody watched an elaborate montage of you putting on your bra while making weird noises? I swear to— Okay, guess I'll have to mind my words. When modern costumers come at these scenes, they're all about accuracy. Whether people lace like that or not, whether the corsets are made properly, completely focused on the clothes. Please see the famous example from season 1 of Bridgerton. What I heard from the costuming community focused entirely on the fact that you can't tightlace in Regency stays. But a period drama is not a reenactment. It's a film production that is being made to tell a story and earn money. And for that film production, these scenes are not just about accuracy, they're about narrative and marketing and what they want the audience to feel. Part of the appeal of a period drama is showing the audience a completely different setting and world than the one they live in. Yes, the story and characters need to feel relatable, but the whole point is for us to have the experience of identifying with characters who live in such a different time. So they need to drive home how different the setting is, and using tropes like blue body paint or putting horny helmets on Vikings and tightlacing torture is one of the ways they do that, even if it is kind of lazy writing. When we see a tightlacing torture scene, the show wants us to react by feeling different and more advanced than whatever segment of the past we're looking at. People today love to look at history and feel superior. We love to look back at the Victorians and think about how awful it was and how dirty the world used to be and how uncomfortable their clothes were, because it makes us feel better about ourselves. And surprise, the Victorians did it too. In 1897, Florence Mary Gardner wrote a book entitled The Evolution of Fashion. She had this to say about Elizabethan era clothes. In the middle of her reign, the body was imprisoned in whalebone, which sounds like something a 21st century person would say about corsets from Queen Victoria's reign. And this wasn't restricted to centuries prior either. Another 19th century dress history writer, one Isaac Walker, was looking down on people all of 20 years in his past. Who will say that the American of 1885, of whatever social grade, is not a much better dressed man than corresponding generations before the war? Although I do have to credit the Victorians with some self-awareness. The satirical magazine Punch made this cartoon in 1857 that could be mocking the recently invented cage crinolines, Victorian era fashions, social attitudes about rapidly changing styles. Knowing Punch, probably all of the above and more. But it goes deeper than our desire to feel superior. Part of why tightlacing and corset torture became such a hotly debated subject in the first place is that we find it sexy, not necessarily on a personal level or even for how it looks. Our society, right back to the 19th century, gets really excited about the idea of women going to extremes to please the men in their lives. And not even the ones in their lives, but men in general. The male gaze, as it were. It's ironic that this trope is used to make us feel different and superior to our predecessors, because we still have such an issue with the idea that beauty equals pain, that women and femme folks especially have to drastically change how we look in order to be appealing or even acceptable for public consumption, that we should go to great lengths to make those changes, whether that's spending money or time or putting ourselves in physical pain and discomfort. To add insult to injury, a lot of these tightlacing scenes are filmed and edited and presented in a way that really sexualizes not just the resulting appearance, but the pain of the lacing process. I mean, look at this.
No, that was all right, wasn't it?
Tell me you don't see it. Once again, the Victorians were sort of thinking about it the same way. One of the most famous letters on the topic, which is featured on a Wikipedia page entitled Corset Controversy, is from a woman who discovers her husband essentially has a predilection for tiny waists and decides that exploring that with him sounds like fun. I think her phrase is that she was amply repaid for her trouble. It's literally a Victorian couple doing kink together. Of course, when I showed it to a friend and fellow dress historian, she took it a step further and was like, no, this letter is erotica. Someone wrote this to be sexy. And like, if you're all consenting adults, do what you want. Have fun. Obviously, the woman in this story decided this would be a worthwhile, enjoyable experience to share with her partner, and more power to her for it. But that is not how tightlacing is usually shown to us in period dramas. It's portrayed as this torturous, horrible thing that the women find painful and unpleasant. Quite often they're forced into it either by other characters or social pressure, rather than enthusiastically consenting to it the way one does for creative adult activities. But we react to it with the sort of joyously shocked and horrified excitement that makes horror movies so popular. I think the phrase is torture, a word I will definitely get demonetized for saying that rhymes with corn. It's gruesome and awful, but it's a really fun, sexy kind of gruesome and awful that we just can't get enough of. Again, I am all for enthusiastically consenting adults enjoying whatever they enjoy, including Mrs. Letter Writer and her husband and their tightlacing fun times. But when the thing that makes it sexy and exciting and worth talking about is that she's not enjoying it, that's concerning. This carries over into the interviews we see from actresses in period dramas talking about how painful they found their corsets. While I don't doubt for a second that the production might indeed have cut corners on the fittings and put the actresses in uncomfortable costumes, ask yourself this. You'd think actresses complaining about painful costumes would reflect badly on the show, enough that the network or production company would try to do something about it. So why are these questions always in the interviews and getting published and getting bumped up into the headlines? Because it's more press for the show. It's marketing. If people are shocked and gasping and clutching their pearls, then that's free marketing for the show in an industry that often believes all press is good press. Sure, the costuming world's shock and outrage is usually based on historical inaccuracy, but outside of our little community, that's not where it's coming from. It's coming from an interest in scandal and people wanting to go see what all the fuss is about. The controversy becomes the torture corn, with the promise of more if people watch the thing. Potential viewers hearing about how painful an actress's corset was is still potential viewers hearing about the show, and then some of them get curious and watch it, and the strategy pays off. I would love it if the general period drama audience felt strongly enough about treating actors well that stories like this tanked a show's numbers, but we're clearly not there yet. Honestly, I think our focus on the clothes themselves and this idea of historical accuracy is getting in the way of understanding why these scenes keep popping up. They aren't a fixture of period dramas because of historical accuracy or inaccuracy or any of that. They're in there because they sell, because we get excited about them and talk about them and scream about how shocking they are, for better or for worse. So really, the problem with these corset torture tightlacing scenes has nothing to do with the corsets. The problem is us. The problem is that we still live in a society that gets excited about the idea of women being tortured and in pain and suffering for the gratification of men. The problem is that as much as we would like to think we've advanced beyond the Victorian social views, in this respect, we really haven't. Thankfully, there are some newer period pieces that are rising above this frankly messed up marketing and show characters putting on corsets with all the interest of a modern drama character wearing a bra. I don't know for sure if changing how we think about them can kill tight-lacing torture scenes for good, but I do hope we can see past the corsets themselves to a better understanding of what's really going on in the shows we love. Alternately, I will be taking bets down in the comments as to what extremes of fashion we'll see in period dramas 200 years from now. Eyelash extensions? Push-up bras? Lip injections? You tell me. Thank you for watching what was probably a very different corsetry hot take than you expected. Don't forget to click the like button and subscribe. I don't know when I'll be dropping the actual were corsets torture hot take, but I promise it's in the works. I'll see you down in the comments after corset-wearing V is done scolding me for all the jokes I've made at her expense. Don't you dare get excited! You are not supposed to be enjoying this!